Hello, let's have a look at what we will create for this project. So this is what we will create: a simple countdown clock that you can use to count down to any event. It could be a birthday, it could be an exciting holiday, or any relevant event that you want to count down to. So this is what we will create from scratch. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we are going to create the project directory and the files we will require for the project. I have already created my directory, which is this here. And the way I did that was just to right click on the desktop, go new folder, and then just name the folder whatever name you like. Okay, so that's how I created my directory on a Windows-based machine. If you are on a Mac, you could do that on the terminal by using the make directory command, which is mkdir, and then the name of the directory. And then to create the files inside that directory, you change directory cd to the directory you've created, and then use the touch command to create the files. For me, I'm going to open up this directory in my text editor. I'm using Sublime Text. I'm using a trial version. So so this is my directory. I've opened it up in my text editor by going File, Open Folder, and then browsing to that location. So now I'm here. I need to create 3 files that we'll need. We need to create the index.html, the JavaScript file, and the CSS file. So I'm going to create them inside this directory. So to create the files I need, I just right click on this directory here and go new file. And the first one will be my index. So what I'll do, I'll just save it. I'll just save as, and I'll call it. Notice it's defaulted to the directory, so it knows where I want to save it. I'll just name it index.html. So this will be my index.html file. I need to do that in lowercase. Okay, and then I'll save that. The next file I want to create is my style. So I'll go new, and I'll save that as my style sheet. I'm going to call it my style.css. Okay, finally I'm going to create my JavaScript file, and I'll call it. So I'll save this as my JavaScript, and I'm going to call this my script.js. It's the extension that matters, so it doesn't matter what you call it as long as they've got the right extension. They need to be at a .html, .js, and a .css. As long as you've got the relevant extensions, that should be fine. So they're all saved, and that's it for this lecture. We have created the directory and we have created the files we will need for our project. Bye for now. Hello, in this lecture we are going to create the structure for our app, the countdown timer, using HTML. This is our HTML file. Just to save time, I've already pre-written and added the code. So I'm just going to run through the code with you. Some of the tags you may be familiar with already, so I do apologize if I'm repeating myself. Line 1 is basically refers to the document type. So this is a declaration so that the web browsers and the search engines will know that the document that this page contains is a HTML5 document. So the actual HTML5 document begins from line 2 all the way to line 33. So anything between line 2 and line 33 is referred to as a HTML document. So also, if you notice, there's some indentation here so that you can differentiate between the parent and the child. The HTML tag is the main parent element, and you can see the head is a child of the HTML and the body is a child of the HTML. You can tell that the tags inside the head are child elements of the head, and the tags inside the body are child elements of the body tag. So let's start with the head. The content of the head tag basically is for informational purposes. You don't really see them when the page is loaded. The web browsers and the search engines use the information for the information contained in the head section. They use that for informational purposes. Okay, so on line 4 here, we've got a meta tag, and inside that tag, there is an attribute called charset. That has a value of UTF-8. Basically, this refers to the encoding type, the type of encoding or characters used for the page. Line 5 is the title for the page. Line 7 is another meta tag. Meta, by the way, means more information. Meta tag are used to provide extra information. So line 7 refers to a meta tag with an attribute called name and value description. And basically, this again is to provide information to the search engines. It's got another variable, another attribute called content with a value of holiday countdown calculator. Again, this is for informational purposes. Say if someone types into Google and types in holiday countdown calculator, this is where Google will go and look for the head section of any web browser or any web page that has that value and try and render them to display. So that's what those information are there for. Line 7, I've got another meta tag called name equals viewport. It's got an attribute of name inside that meta tag. Value is viewport, and also another attribute called content with a value equals width equals device minus width, comma, initial scale. What line 7 is saying is that any device, regardless of the screen size, viewport is referring to the view screen size, regardless of the screen size, can view this page, and also it can zoom in. You notice I've got an initial scale here that refers to the zooming in and zooming out. Line 8 refers to the style sheet, external style sheet we will reference, which is this style sheet here. That's the end of the head section. It ends on line 9. So let's move over to the body. As you can see, the tags are always, make sure your tags are closed properly. You can see the closing tags with the / before the tag. So very important. Okay, let's go to the body. So this is the body tag, which starts on line 10 and ends on line 32. Any content in the body tag is what you actually see when you visit a page. So the visible content is between the body tag. I've got an H1 there on line 11. This is a title tag. It will display a title named countdown. I've defined a div. A div basically is a division in the page. Just divide a section of a page. Line 12, I've created a div. I've given it an ID of clock div. We'll use this ID later. We'll reference it in our JavaScript and also in our CSS. Line 14, I've created a span element. So the span basically used to add things together. So we've got a span element here. I've given it a class of days. The difference between a class and an ID attribute is that a class can be reused several times, while an ID is unique. So I'm going to use this. I've used this class several times. I've used it on line 14. Used it again on, I've created several classes for that. Notice I've used this class here, the class used on line 15. I've also used it here on line 19 and also on line 23 and line 27. So the difference between a class and an ID, class is reusable several times within a page. So I've also created some other class here called hours, days, and so on. So this content basically comprises of divs and span. The span element is used to join content together. So the span, basically the span tag is a way to group inline elements in a document together. It kind of like provides a hook. It hooks a part of the text or other parts of the document together. It's kind of like the sellotape that glues them together. So that's it for the HTML structure. In our next lecture, we'll be implementing our JavaScript, and then we'll implement our CSS. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. So this is what our page looks like at the moment with the HTML. So this is what the HTML has created. Once we've implemented the CSS, it will look much more better, and then the JavaScript will provide the actual functionality for the clock.